If you are a high-performing professional who's had a psychedelic breakthrough, but your life hasn't actually changed afterwards, then this video is for you. In this video, I want to go into why many people who've had a psychedelic breakthrough don't actually change their life afterwards. What's keeping them stuck, and 2 simple steps that can help you to break through that barrier and gain momentum again. Hey, I'm Virgo and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On my journey of psychedelic integration over the past 10 years, I have seen that when I have these big openings, I couldn't really grasp what it is that I wanted to take from these experiences and how my life is actually changing on a day-to-day basis, how I'm showing up differently on Monday morning, based on what I've seen. And I felt there was a slight disconnect between what I've seen and who I know myself to be, my potential, and how I'm actually showing up on a day-to-day basis. And over the years, I developed a structure that helped me to really integrate the insights that I've seen and embody them on a day-to-day basis. And now I help others do the same through the Psychedelic Actualization pathway, which is a 90-day container in which we walk through the 3 steps that really allow us to take what we've seen and apply it into our daily life. Because, many people, when they've had this psychedelic breakthrough, they feel excited. They're like, I know, I need to implement this. I've seen my potential. I've realized something about myself or my life that I want to change. But then when the experience fades out and the afterglow slowly disappears, many are left with a kind of sense of guilt, of like, I know what I've seen, but I can't actually live what I saw. And many people are oscillating between, I know I need to change something. There's something I know needs to change and I'm not doing it. Or it hasn't changed yet. So they feel stuck in this in-between phase of these 2 versions of themselves. And you're not alone in that. Many people fall into that structure of then thinking that they need the perfect plan to transition, or they gotta journal a little bit more about their insights, or they gain more clarity, or just like they might need another experience, another psychedelic ceremony for them to actually then change it and apply it in their daily life. None of these things are wrong, but they keep us in this loop of not actually embodying the insights, and they keep us in this sense of guilt that then leads also into a sense of self-doubt, into not trusting ourselves that we can actually live what we saw. And that lowers our confidence, and that's painful. And it doesn't really have to do something with the psychedelic insight itself, because what you saw was real, what you experienced was important and profound. But you're probably stuck because that insight didn't create change and you don't really know how to do that. So the simple shift that I have found that sets the foundation for real change to happen is what I call identity alignment. So this is about going back to the drawing board and figuring out what's most important to you. To say okay, based on what I saw, who do I need to be in order to embody that insight, embody that potential? And that has to do with figuring out what's most important to you. What I do with my clients is to redefine and recreate our top 5 values in life. To see what's really most important to us, so we can move forward and make decisions, clear decisions that are in integrity with our true self, based on this clarity that emerged from that. And this is also about, finding one or two things from the experience and extracting a principle by which you want to live by, and then setting in place one embodiment practice that allows you to really live that principle in your daily life, in your work, in your relationships, in your approach to self-care. So you really take that insight and embody it fully in your identity. So you feel confident again, you feel clear about who you are, and you feel like you can trust yourself to move forward. And that trust and that confidence is built through action. The clarity is one tiny piece of it, but it's built through consistent action. Which brings me to the next part, which is that clarity also doesn't come from thinking more, but you figuring out what to do next comes from acting your way into your clarity. If that makes sense, It's like you set a direction for yourself, but you act your way into the vision. It's not that you keep on thinking about the vision, or you keep on refining it, or you keep on dreaming about it, but you set kind of like a hypothesis, and then you go out and you test it. That's what I love to do in the 90-day container. It's a 90-day experimentation plan that you will actually follow through on, right? So the clarity is one piece of it, of figuring out where you want to serve, what makes you feel alive, what makes you excited. But then it's about translating that clarity into a clear experimentation plan, a kind of like a purpose hypothesis that then allows you to go out and execute, and try things out. And a lot of the things that are needed in that window is to create boundaries, which is kind of like the third aspect that holds these two steps, which is to create boundaries that protect your energy, to create boundaries that protect your time, to allocate time to what's truly important to you, which is to get unstuck, to be excited, and to live in alignment with what you saw, right? So really realizing what's draining your energy, and then putting a structure in place that allows you to stabilize and to have the nervous system capacity to follow through on the steps that you said you're going to follow through on, is kind of like the container that holds these actions. All right? And that basically comes a lot down to the basic things of regulation, rituals, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of nature, sleeping well, and protecting your time. So your environment doesn't drain you of your energy anymore. And basically when you follow these steps, what emerges is a clear excitement about your direction in life. You wake up on Monday morning and you're exactly clear on where you're going, and you're excited about it. It doesn't mean that your life has changed from one day to the other, but there is a different energy within yourself that drives you forward, and that then reflects itself in each and every of your interactions, in your relationships, in your work, and in the way you show up for yourself and how you feel within the internal qualities of your being. So if you're curious about turning your insight into an aligned life, and if you're serious about this integration process, then I have developed this 90-day program, which is based on the psychedelic actualization pathway. And if you're serious about engaging on this journey and committed to this change, then you can book a call with me or DM me the word path on Instagram at Psychedelic Actualization. All right, hope that was helpful. Much love. If you're curious about the deeper spiritual sides and how psychedelics can be used as a spiritual practice, then you can watch this masterclass next. It's a beautiful exploration of psychedelics and self-realization. Much love.